Darling, I'm going to the grocery. So my wife comes in and says, honey, if they got X, bring 6. And that's in essence a conditional statement. If the condition is true, I gotta do something. And if it's false, I don't have to do anything. In this case, if the number of X at the grocery is greater than 0, I gotta bring 6X. If they don't, I'm not expected to do anything. So let's see if we can make a uBasic program out of that. I got no X at all. Let's assume the grocer's got 10 of them. My beloved one told me if they got more than 0x, then I got to take 6x. Which leaves the grocers with 6x less. And that ends the conditional part. It's the end of the if as we know it. In any case, I'm going back home, on my bike, like every true Dutchie. When I come home, my darling takes all the X, whether my adventure was successful or not. And that leaves me with no X at all. End of story. End of program. Since that's what the end command does, it ends your program. Though that it is a good idea to prefix those conditional statements with a few spaces. That's called indentation. It's to emphasize that these statements are conditional, which gives some structure to your program. And when your programs start to be a bit complicated, you'll thank me for the tip. It's a good habit to start indenting right away. Now that seems like a decent plan. Let's see how it works out. So I'm riding my bike to the grocer. And of course I'm taking my program with me. Of course I have no X at all. So I get in and say, "Hi grocer, do you have any X?" Well, he says, "You're lucky, I got 3. So I answer, "That's great, because my wife said if they got any X, take 6. Which means that you've got minus 3x left for your other customers. "That's great," the grocer says. "Here's your change, say hello to your wife for me." So I return home. Give my better half the 6x, which leaves me empty-handed. And that's the end of the story. That worked out pretty nice, didn't it? Well, of course not. X don't come out of thin air, so what's wrong with this picture? Remember our definition? The one about programming? The one requiring that our intentions have to be met? Well, that wasn't our intention. It's what we call a bug. That's when the program runs perfectly, only it's not doing what we expected it to be doing, which means we made a wrong assumption somewhere. Now the worst thing you can do is solving the problem by trial and error. You've got more chance to solve it by being methodical, for example by making a flowchart. A flowchart is a diagram that makes it very easy to test one or more scenarios, so keep that one in mind. There are 2 things we are completely sure of. We have to go to the grocery, and after our visit we have to go home. So let's put these in first. We already know that just checking for 1 or more X is not going to cut it. However, if the grocer has 6 or more X, that's going to work, always. That way we'll never leave the poor man with a negative number of X. So let's put that one in. And if that's true, our program will work just fine. We can safely go home now, so far so good. Now suppose he's got less than 6X. We still have to test if he's got any X at all. Since if he doesn't, we can't go home straight away. Now suppose he does. In that case I get all the X I can lay my hands on, so he's left with no X at all. And I'm done. I can go home now. The trick is you can transform this diagram into a program real easy. When I go to the grocery, I got no X and the grocery has got 3 of them. If the grocery has more than 5X, we simply follow the yes branch, which says take 6X, so the grocery has got now 6X less. However, if this is not the case, we follow the no branch, which translates into an else statement. And that says if the grocery has got more than 0X, again we follow the yes branch. I'll take all the X and the grocery is left with no X at all. Then we follow the no branch, which translates to an else statement. and it does absolutely nothing. We can even leave it out. Which doesn't matter, since we are going home anyway. We just have to terminate the two if statements with an and if. Do you see why it's so important to indent those pieces of code? It's much easier to see what belongs to what. And that's a wrap. We've learned that you can make conditional statements with uBasic for it. It consists of a condition and a set of actions to be performed if the condition is met. Most of the time, a condition is tested by doing a comparison. If the condition is true, all the commands following the if statement are executed. If a condition is untrue, we can use the else statement to execute an alternative set of commands. But no, this is completely optional. Every single if statement must be terminated by its own and if statement. So there are as many and if statements as if statements. It's always good to indent the commands with an if and if block, especially if it contains other if and if blocks. And even if uBasic 4 doesn't end with an error, that doesn't mean everything is alright. The program might simply not do what you expected it to do. It's called a bug. And finally, the end statement does exactly what it says on the box. It ends the program immediately. No questions asked. And that's the end of the line, folks.